Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It's Tall, the Traveling Clyde, your sweet Zionist prince, back with another video. Today we're looking at some older footage. I believe this is the Shah of Iran. Let's take a look here real quick.
The Palestinians obviously had the sympathy of many people, almost all the countries in the world, persecuted people, stateless people, looking for a home or something. Yeah. You know, exactly like the sympathy that the Jews had when they were searching for a home.
Right.
But our good Palestinian friends must know that there is only a limit to where they can go and bully the world.
Bully the world?
Yes, by terrorism and blackmailing and this and that.
You know perfectly well, Your Majesty.
I want to pause real quick and just make a clarification, something that Shah just said. You know, my grandparents on my Iraqi side, both of them were born in Baghdad, and they were kicked out of Iraq. 1941 it began. They actually left a little bit later. And the place that actually brought them to Israel was Iran. All my family transitioned into Tehran before coming to Israel. So a lot of people see Iran today as like a super hateful country that hates Israel and hates the West. But in reality, during the Shah's time, Iran was actually very, very tolerant of Israel. They actually cooperated with Israel. And again, they saved the Iraqi Jews on multiple occasions. The Iraqi Jews that were kicked out of Baghdad, kicked out of Iraq for being Jewish people by the Arab extremist Muslims there, Iran actually took them in and facilitated their travel to Israel. They brought them on flights from Tehran all the way to Tel Aviv. And that's what happened with my family. And so you can even see back then, I think that the consensus on the ground in Iran, and even till today, was a lot more sympathetic towards the Jewish/Israeli cause. The IRGC today is very, very different in the sense that it's just looking for the destruction of Israel and whoever it deems as Zionist as somebody that they want to throw away with from this world. But it's good to see that even back then the Shah had recognized that the Palestinian cause is a bit of a sham. I like to throw around saying Free Palestine is a scam, because that's kind of what it feels like, if I'm being honest with you guys. A lot of times it just kind of feels like a scam. Let's continue to hear what he had to say.
You know perfectly well, Your Majesty, that the leaders of the Arab world find the Palestinians as much a problem almost as the Israelis do. Isn't that a fact?
What I can say is that they should really open their eyes, reassert their situation. And if there is a hierarchy and someone there in command
of the Palestinians, you mean?
Of the Palestinians, to start a new policy, because the actual one is going to lead them nowhere.
True.
With whom do they really have?
True. They have no future because they don't have any leaders. All their leaders suck ass. They really do. Every single one of the Palestinian leaders, starting at Haj Amin al-Husseini, who literally was best friends with Hitler and spent a lot of his time in Nazi Germany, till the modern day, the modern depiction of Abu Ubaida, Yahya Sinwar, Ismail Haniya, Mahmoud Abbas, they're all Nazi. They really are all Nazis. They all are the perfect walking depiction of a modern day Arab Nazi. That's what they are. They all believe in Nazi propaganda. They're all Holocaust deniers. They all want to kill Jewish people, not Zionists, Jewish people. And so I think when you have a reality like that, if you don't see the change coming in from Palestinian society with a desire for better governance, for a desire for better leaders, you're never going to change Palestine. You're never going to be able to progress into the future. And the reality is, you don't see it. You don't even hear an inkling of it. You don't even see it on social media. You don't see it in the diaspora the way you do with Iranians, for example, with Lebanese, with some Syrians, with Jordanians, with Iraqis. You see them every once in a while popping up, their voices in the West, people who live outside of the countries they come from, so it's less dangerous. And they'll say, I'm looking for peace. I want to be. You don't have that in Palestinians. You don't see it often. And the ones that do, they carry a lot of extremism with them, and they're completely shunned and excasted by the society. It's like, it really feels like there's no hope for Palestinian society, because at its core, Palestinian society is kind of broken.
They have understanding with us.
Going to lead them nowhere.
With whom do they really have understanding? With Assad, with Sadat, with Hussein?
That's a very good question.
They have none with any of these leaders?
Not to my knowledge.
And they seem to be out of control.
It seems so today.
And what about the Arab leader who supports the Palestinians, the terrorists, with his oil money, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya?
He's crazy.
You really believe that?
Oh, yes. No doubt. The man is absolutely irresponsible and crazy.
And there you go. There you go. The Shah of Iran in 1976 laying down some actual truth. Inshallah, someday we can see a reality in the Middle East where the Shah is back in power, or at least his descendants or somebody who is aligned to him, to end the cycle of extremism coming out of the Islamic regime of Iran. We do have another video to look at here. So we're going to be looking at a video of Pierre Puigdemont. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's the upcoming runner-up for potential Prime Minister of Canada after Justin Trudeau. Let's see what he has to say. From what I understood, he's pretty pro-Israel.
Yesterday you said that you endorse Israel proactively defending itself by hitting Iran's nuclear sites, which is something that President Joe Biden does not endorse. Do you not feel like this could lead to a likelihood of an all-out conventional war between Iran and Israel? And do you not agree with Joe Biden and his assessment?
I think the idea of allowing a genocidal, theocratic, unstable dictatorship that is desperate to avoid being overthrown by its own people to develop nuclear weapons is about the most dangerous and irresponsible thing that the world could ever allow.
I actually had a recent conversation with a very high-level, I'll say, security officer in the IDF, and he had told me that his biggest fear out of anything in this region, his biggest fear is the Islamic regime of Iran developing nuclear weapons. He, without a shadow of a doubt, said that if they ever develop nuclear weapons, the chaos that will unfold in the Middle East forthcoming after that, it's not something we'll physically be able to control, and we will see millions of people suffering and dying, most likely, under that kind of power. It is imperative that all of us, global citizens, all of us fight against the possibility of Iran developing nuclear weapons. It should not even be a reality. There should be no peace deal. They have shown us time and time again, now they are willing to strike Israel head on with their own weapons. There cannot be a reality where Iran develops nuclear weapons. And I couldn't agree with Pierre more.
And if Israel were to stop that genocidal, theocratic, unstable government from acquiring nuclear weapons, it would be a gift by the Jewish state to humanity.
That is a great... Damn, bro. Bro, become king of Canada, baby. I like you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, fuck you if you think I'm a shill for anybody who's pro-Israel. I'm not like that. But I'm saying, it seems like we have some leaders in the Western world who truly get it. Some, not a lot, some that truly understand what it takes to survive in this world that we live in today. We have a world where Russia and China and the axis of evil are literally progressing. They are actively progressing their ideology of trying to take over the world with evil. And we have people in the West that are falling for it. And we have politicians in the West who kind of just turn a blind eye to it. And they're like, fuck it, it's happening, so whatever. It doesn't really affect us so much. And then you have other people like him. You have people like Donald Trump who are stepping up to the plate to push back against these evil ideologies. Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon is evil. There is no justification. There is no moral equivalence. There's nothing you could do to ethically vouch for Iran developing a nuclear weapon. There's nothing about it that is ethical or moral. We can't allow it to happen. I don't think people understand how grave, how dangerous that is. We cannot allow something like that to happen. It would be a potential end of humanity. These are not stable people. These are not stable regimes or stable governments. We need to put an end to the chaos coming out of the Islamic world. We need to put an end to the chaos coming out of these Muslim countries. We need to start pushing, not for Western values, because I don't even like or agree with that term of Western values. Did you know that most of the Western values, that Judeo-Christian values, comes from the Middle East? That's on the back of Jewish society, back on Jewish culture. Where do all the Western values you get in the West come from? They come from the Hebrew Bible. They come from the Old Testament. They come from Israel. They don't come from the West, Western values. They come from the East. They come from Israel. But there's a difference. Like Jesus Christ, the New Testament, all the values that you have in the West, that shit was developed in Israel. Old Testament and New Testament. The whole story of that encompasses Israel. for the most part. There's some parts that take place in Mesopotamia and other parts of the Middle East, but it's all from the Middle East. Your Western values are our Middle Eastern values. The problem is we have a colonial movement we've never dealt with. And those are the Arabs, the Muslims, who conquered and colonized the Middle East and North Africa and Iran. We need to take care of that issue first, which is helping Arabs understand that most of them are colonized in their mentality. We have to help them unlock the truth of who they actually are and understand and push back against radical Islamism. Muslims have a place to live in society amongst everybody else. They should be allowed to live and practice their religion freely, however they want. But Islamism, jihadism, Salafism, Wahhabism, we need to put an end to these radical ways of thinking that justify mass murdering people based on religion or based on their ethnicity, and superiority complexes that make you believe that you're superior to somebody else because you are an Arab. I refuse to live in that world moving forward. And I'm so grateful that Israel allows me to broadcast this voice proudly to you, because I would not be able to do this from an Arab country. I'm so proud that I live in a country that allows me to make this kind of content to educate people all over the world. I'm immensely grateful for that. And I appreciate the Shah of Iran and Pierre for stepping up to the plate, both in the 70s and today, to openly acknowledge the fact that we need to put an end to Iran's chaos, and we need to put an end to the Palestinian cause, and revamp and reform that. Revamp and reform the realities we're living in. I love you guys a long time. Thanks for listening to me blab about, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, Clats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.